Saturn is going through the 22nd degree of Aquarius, not for very long, for about 10 days. Aquarius 22, a rug placed on the floor for children to play. General kindness of humanity. There is great kindness in the world, and those of us strong in faith will look for it and expect to find it. Yet never forget to appreciate it fully and reciprocally. Some see the opposite and so find the opposite. During times of trouble, we rarely know exactly how or when we will be supported, but trusting that it will all turn out right in the end is a very sound life strategy. Despite rumours to the contrary, people are unnecessarily yet reliably kind. This is about practicing kindness as a spiritual path, with the understanding that we have a duty to deepen our enjoyment. Children are playing on the floor and we put a rug out for them so that they will enjoy their lives a little bit better. It's not a requirement, it's not necessary, it's just thoughtful and considerate. And if we adopt this way of being as a strategy of life, a spiritual path, then we will find what happens is that we are treated kindly ourselves. And there's no strategic advantage in kindness. In the animal kingdom, you don't see it very much. You see it within the family, but you don't very often see it outside of that context. Even in the tribe, some monkey animals are kind to each other. They do that kind of mutual grooming thing. But this is actually for the benefit of the tribe. It's not altruistic, open-hearted, radiant kindness. This is a human quality. And some might say that is the human quality. It's called one's humanity sometimes. And generally we help people if we can. If it doesn't cost us anything, why not? Even if it does, maybe that's okay too. This idea of being able to give something to someone else and make their lives better is a remarkable thing, really truly remarkable, of our species. And the reverse of this is something that we can concentrate on, that since we are that way ourselves, we can expect to be treated that way by others. Dane Rudhyar speaks of this attitude of Aquarius 22. A rug is placed on the floor of a nursery to allow children to play in comfort and warmth. The keynote is the warmth of understanding which comes to those who, early in life, are open to new possibilities. Slightly different take on it, isn't it? Man is never left without assistance when eagerly seeking to grow emotionally and spiritually, even if he does not consciously realize the intent and value of what sustains his self-development and cushions the shocks which life provides his growth in understanding. Still, the assistance is there. He may think, no one understands me, but the understanding is there if he does not egotistically take for granted that life and society owe him everything. Yeah, just because people are kind to us doesn't really allow us to demand it. We can expect it to be given to us voluntarily, perhaps by an unknown source, a stranger, and yet we cannot give up our own responsibility for doing what needs to be done for ourselves, to ourselves. So even though this expectation of kindness is promoted, the demanding of it is not. Very different things. I've travelled a lot, often found myself in difficult situations abroad, and always somebody helps me out, always. It's the way we are as people. Now, Saturn enters this, and so for a short period of time, we have to think about what that means. And there's a hint within the text that I've read out, that there's a duty of kindness. We take it to another level there. If we're just going on adventures confidently, having faith that we're going to be okay because people will help us out, fine, that's a good thing. If we go to the next level where we have this kind of understanding that it is a spiritual path, that what goes around comes around, so because we want to be treated kindly, we behave kindly. And yet there's another level where we behave kindly because we like the feeling, and we can see that that's the thing to do, the thing to be. We do it automatically, as it were, because we are who we are. And if we are kind people, then we have to practice kindness without any expectation of being treated kindly later, without any expectation of payment here and now. It's just that kindness is a quality that's lovely to experience and develops us further in our spiritual path. And if your spiritual path does not lead you to kindness, well, where are you going with it? What is it that you want, which is more important to you than kindness? Because if you don't give kindness, then you're not going to be treated as kindly as if you do. So what do you want to do? Why do you want to work in a world which doesn't have kindness? Kindness is soft and gentle and reassuring and safe. That's what makes the world that way, is if we're all kind to each other. And there's a generosity associated with it, a giving, a sense of giving attention, first and foremost, service, and perhaps even food, money. So at some point when I started to understand this was not a natural thing for me, and it certainly wasn't taught to me by my parents generally. But when I came to understand it, I started the practice of giving money to beggars, which I hadn't been doing before. It was a wonderful experience. Just the whole thing of softening someone's life for that moment, for that small coin perhaps. But it was a lovely thing to experience, and I had one of the most special experiences in my life in the practice of giving a coin to a beggar. So it's not only because it's the right thing to do. I don't care about that personally, the right and the wrong things to do. That's not a determinant. That depends upon where you are and who you're with and what you believe. So it's not anything to do with it's the right thing to do. Don't care. It's just lovely. It's just great. It's what you want to do because it's great to be kind to people. And yeah, it's very nice to be treated kindly as well as a secondary benefit. But the reason to do it is because it feels great. And I think that's the purest motivation for anything that you do. It just feels good to do it. And in this particular case, it actually helps somebody else as well. You know? Like I say, that's a secondary benefit. So Saturn going in there reminds us that of karma, really. Saturn has quite a lot to do with karma. Saturn's saying, look, what you do is going to have a kickback. There's going to be a response to whatever you do, and here it is happening now. You know, Saturn's a bit of a finger wagger and said, look, every cause has an effect. So if your prime cause is kindness, then the effect is kindness. But most particularly, Saturn's going to sort of wag its finger and say, look, if you're not being kind, you won't be treated kindly. And I think that stern approach to Saturn is a bit overdone. I think I prefer the interpretation of karma, not that it's a payback or what you've done right or wrong in the past. I prefer the interpretation that it's an opportunity for you to perfect your soul, perfect yourself as an expression of soul. And Saturn's just sort of saying, well, why don't you just do this as a practice? Why don't you practice kindness the same way as you would a spiritual practice? You do it every day. You go out of your way to do it. You're a person who does that. You're known for doing it. It's a practice. So why don't you practice kindness? And you can think about it as the right thing to do, the way a moral person would behave. You can think about that, or you could think about, if I do this, then I'll get that. You can think about those two things. If that's what makes you do it, it's probably better than not doing it. But actually, this third level where you're doing it because it's actually a learning, it's a growing up, it's a maturing of self to understand that kindness is the human condition. All the other stuff, the unkindness that you see in the world, that's a distortion, a degradation of people who have been hurt very deeply and they haven't healed that hurt, so they're unkind now. That's what it is. But if you actually parent a child properly, they grow up to be kind. And it's a part of the human condition. So Saturn going through this degree is reminding us not of the duty or the karmic implications of kindness, so much as grow up. Get this teaching. If you haven't got it yet, put a rug down for the kids to play on, for goodness sake. It's the obvious thing to do. And if you're not doing it, well, why not? Why haven't you noticed that it is the right thing to do? Because everybody feels better.